All right, so here we are doing a live stream for no real solid reason, apart from I needed to test it again. The next big step here would be to test the ability to operate the chat section, because it appears the whole point of live streaming is to get live feedback. So get questions, answer them, especially on a sort of a tech channel where I'll get myself comfortable. And I thought a good topic for the day, once I find out if I have actually gone live on my stream. There you go. I think it's something like 20 seconds behind, or it's just remembering, or something like that. But today I'm going to talk to you about, well, no, I'm not yet. I'm just going to wait. We're going to talk about, we're live. Okay, well, so I'm live on Facebook. It takes a bit of a while to kick off, which worries me a little bit, because you can sort of have a whole bunch of sort of dead stuff and you don't know what's dead. So you can either get cut off in the middle of it all, or you, that's why is Skype even open? You get cut off in the middle of it, or you end up with all this time of you sitting around twiddling your thumbs, waiting for stuff to happen. All right, so what I'm doing now is just trying to arrange some stuff on my desktop so that I can see who's who and what's what. I'm assuming that Scott Wright is right there right now. I'm hoping so. It appears the lag is about 20 seconds at the moment, which is not what I'd call super acceptable, but what can I say? We have to live with it, don't we, in this modern world. So YouTube, the whole point of this is I'm using Castaway, which is sending out to YouTube and Facebook at the same time. I experimented with something else. Let me try and remember what it was called. Lula, the other night, that actually sent to Instagram at the same time as YouTube, which was great. What I want to do is maintain the YouTube channel and the steady growth there, but actually communicate with people, which is what the Facebook's probably the best for at the moment. So now that I've got Scott on board, let me show you today's new toy. Right. So we are now using the immobile faulty PTZ Pro 2 Logitech camera, which is being sorted as we speak, but as long as I don't pan and tilt, it stays roughly in focus. I've got it on autofocus now, so that whatever happens, it eventually finds itself in focus. But have a look over here. You know what? Check this out. I've set myself up a little wave around cam. Over here we have a PreSonus headphone amplifier. Now, going right back to the L12 days, you had probably 5 of these outputs. So you could have your headphones. I'd quite often split. So I've got a situation where I need 5 headphone outs, right? One for the engineer, which is me, and then one for each of the 4 positions on my desk, right? And I always have splitters and stuff handy. So position 1 needs to be your host. If there's an engineer on board and your host, you want to be both hearing the exact same thing. So in the past I've split that signal and then we've shared that signal so that we were on the same page at all times. And then the second and third position are usually for guests, but quite often extra guests. So they're your headphones. I've got those also coming off one channel. Anyway, so using splitters to minimize how much is going out from here is what I like to do. So I think I'm not entirely sure that I'm actually still streaming onto Facebook now. Let me just check. 2 seconds and we'll get back to this. God, it's all so slow. There's so much pressure on. Oh yeah, here we go. We're still doing it. All right. It's a bit different to what it was showing me before. Righto. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. These had 4 outputs. 3 of them are programmable. Okay, so that wasn't really enough because I like to send one that is programmable, like for a sort of a mix minus vibe, but I can always program the outgoing mix into this, and I can send that cable through to the front of the PC, and it's a pretty handy thing to have there. The next one is my extra headphones, not my normal ones, but it's this headset that I'm wearing now. See this headset? It has its own microphone, and it's pretty much an extra set of headphones that I've got to deal with. Okay, and then this one, this is the outgoing signal that I've got in my master that I've got now going into the PreSonus amplifier, headphone amplifier. I find that the preamps in this machine, the Zoom L8, are really, really good, just as Zoom always do. The headphone amp, I think it just when you crank it right up, you can get a bit of noise. I thought, oh well, let's have some with my tinnitus and all that as it's going, my old age. I thought I'll get the best possible sound, and as well as that, this thing here allows my people, if I'm recording somebody, they can actually, I can position it, which I haven't done, I just got it, but I can position it over there or point it towards the desk, and people can actually, they're welcome to adjust once I've marked it, to adjust their own channel for their own comfort. But if someone reached over here and started adjusting this, they'd get a slap on the back of the hand pretty quick smart. All right, so I've done that, and that allows me to mark channel. I've got channel 1 over here going straight to my main engineer set of headphones. So that's a pair of ATH M50X. The second one is going to my first position, which is where a host would sit. A host that may be also operating the desk, so that's the same signal now. And then the next channel is actually going to do position 2 and 3. So for extra guests, they don't have any critical input, but they will have the same volume. So I'll have to just agree on that. And then the last one is position number 4, which is across there. It's most likely to be a co-host, or a number 1 guest kind of thing over there. So that's what I've done today. It was about $230, something like that. And it also allows me to have all my headphone quagmire all set up and stay set up, whatever happens here. So this plug here, that comes out, and that can go straight into my Rodecaster Pro or any other device that I've got rolling, and that basically splits it all down and allows. So this is static. This belongs in the room. Whereas if I go to take this away or use it for something else temporarily, which is it's great for, because it comes with batteries and it's quite small and light, then it's a lot less of a puzzle trying to put it all back together when I literally had splitters in every one of these channels. And also I had, like, this one would just be sitting there waiting to use. So when my son wanted to use Fortnite chat, we'd have to lift that out, plug it in, switch that to mix C, and do all this sort of carry on. So that's just dedicated now. And that's how I used to roll with the Zoom L12, where it had more of these and some of them were able to be dedicated. So that's it. I mean, another big bonus of having having the PreSonus headphone amplifier is that, can you see that tiny little green light? So that is muting the monitors. So this machine, I've got my monitors coming out of this now. Okay, so instead of another one of these being used up to go over to my studio monitors over there, this comes in and comes out nice and clean through a pair of 1/4 inch balanced jacks, and that's they go out to my monitors, and that has its own control over here as well. And the bonus is, bam, I can mute the monitors, which is so important when you're recording. So if I have to leave, let me get back to this. If I have to leave a note or some instructions for someone saying, for God's sake, when you're recording, after you've done all your checklist, turn the monitors off. Because if everyone goes and puts their headphones on, they might not notice they're feeding back for the whole show. Plenty of people have done it before. I've started a couple of shows with it and then realised and turned the monitors down. So currently, if your monitors are coming out of the L8 directly, you have to turn the knob down. Exactly the way you used to have to do with the Rodecaster Pro. But the Rodecaster Pro has a software feature in it now that actually links the sliders, the microphone sliders, so that if you turn a slider up, it cuts the monitor. Pretty good feature, but it's sort of probably trained me and various other people into being off the ball when it comes to that sort of stuff. It is really important, and it's really easy to forget. So anyway, it's a button. I can write on the note, press, I want to see a green light on that thing. If there's no green light, then you're probably recording. All right, I know a lot of regular users will just turn the knob down, and they won't be able to do it up on here. Another good thing about doing what I've just done is that people don't have any reason to be touching any of these settings. So I'm hoping that more and more I can walk into my studio and not have to reset everything every time. And that's it. That's probably today's discussion. I should be showing off. My my new Bird Dog P200 NDI PTZ camera, which is the one that's sending this signal now. I'm wondering if I'm getting some kind of lag, but we will find out soon. All right, so Scott, good stuff. Thank you, mate. Thanks for... I'm always grateful for all the people on social media, my friends and my associates, for putting up with a constant testing, especially with live streaming. Big lag. I can see it. It's actually, the lag is actually in my system. If I change to this, tell me if I've got a lag now. Should be in OBS. I've got a small. No, OBS is clean using this camera, which is a Logitech. Let's have a look at this one. That is no onboard computer lag there. I think the lag is in the connection between the Bird Dog P200 and my PC. So I'll get back to that one. Slight, barely noted. Yeah, it's just one. It's one of the cameras. I'm going to do a little experiment while we're talking, and power it down and power it back up again, just in case something's happened with the network, or OBS has just gone, I just can't hack this anymore. You know, you never know. Today, for what it's worth, today I did some experiments. All right. It's interesting that I managed to actually completely reboot OBS, click start streaming. The Caster software coped quite nicely. It just kind of went, yeah, fine, I'm cool with that. The only thing that hasn't come back is Facebook. So the stream's back on. YouTube's working again. That's no problem. Maybe it's just. Oh, it started a new one. That's pretty weird, isn't it? There you go. Oh, well, maybe it didn't start a new one. Yeah, it did. No, it didn't. Oh, that's the old one. Oh, God. It says it's live, but it's not letting me watch it, which doesn't really matter. So says it's live, but it's just showing me that cover thing. So maybe it's just a big delay on the Facebook. Let me know anyway. Let's see what happens here. You wouldn't see a the little red live thing if it wasn't live, surely. Now let's mention you in a comment 3 minutes ago. Well, let me find that one. Ah, looks like it did come back. Oh, that's not live now either. Oh, God. Oh. Okay. All right, well, that's a replay now of the old one, which I'm watching. So, ta-da. All right, I found it. Oh, my God. God help anyone trying to watch this. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with Facebook Live, but I'm not seeing, when you just scroll through your own page, you see it. You can see me crapping on. Click to expand, I suppose, is what you need to do to get the... All right. I'm glad you're there, Scott, because it's the feedback on what's working and what's lagging that I really need. I'm going to hit the Fancy Pants camera now, and let's see if we get that lag again. Okay. It's lagging, but a tiny bit. Quarter of a second, I'd say, which is not acceptable. So I've possibly got a setting. I've got a setting mixed up there. I've never had this problem before, but it could be just time to use it as an excuse for a new PC, perhaps. Thanks, mate. I really appreciate it. the involuntary guinea pigs. I tell you what, I was unpopular before. I've got one of my tenants and my friend at the back here that makes tables, Tara. I'm trying to experiment with Skype calling into the Zoom L8 at the same time as doing a phone thing, right? Logically, it works. But someone asked me if it would work, so I set it up and I did it. So I've finally, it's really hard to test Skype. It's hard to get a good guinea pig. All that lag is actually, by the way, in the computer. It's not the internet. If that was consistent and there was always going to be that tiny lag, you can actually adjust the audio to sit behind. But it can be tricky if you've got one camera that's lagging because it's high, a lot of pressure on the computer or whatever. If you've got one camera that's lagging, another one that isn't, then it's going to be trouble because it's the same audio coming through the mixer. Anyway, so I got through to Tara because there's very few people I know that are on Skype. So to guinea pig people, it's really hard. So I've called Tara on Skype and she's answered and I've said, all right, don't say anything controversial. I'm recording this for YouTube. Can you hold on a minute? And then I rang my wife, who's in Yarrawonga having lunch with her mother, and my kids, and she's going, what? I said, I just need to do an experiment. So it was a bit awkward, but it did work. They could hear each other and it all worked quite nicely. That's using my, always with the wrong button. That's using my sort of analog out system that I use for my son's Fortnite chat, because when he plays a Fortnite, if he uses the L8 as an audio source, USB audio source, then he gets all the sound of the game that he hears that comes in from the game on the computer. It sends it out to his friends as an audio source, which is diabolical. And they hate that. Although the kids, they can pretty much get used to anything and they hardly notice. But I figured Skype and all of those things have their own sort of mix minus sort of software sort of thing that sort of takes their voice back out of what goes back. But I'd rather keep it clean. I'm not sure yet to find out. But it did work just sending this white cable with a programmed mix minus, so sending the microphone only straight out, like I was saying before, and into the front of the computer. And then in Skype, when you select microphone, you select the sound card in instead of selecting the L8 as a digital source. You just select the front plug hole as a microphone, and it listens to this signal that's being sent out of there, which you've hand programmed to only include what you want to include. So if you're doing that, it's very similar to the way you use the mix minus with the TRRS. Oh, Tony. Hey, mate. I'll be deleting this, so there'll be no going back to find out what the hell I'm on about. So I'll recap you. What I'm doing is trying out the software that I've subscribed to called Castaway, with just CASTR, which can help me stream from my OBS, from my computer here, and then it streams to them, and then they can send it out to YouTube and Facebook at the same time. This came up because I wanted to run the record charity kind of thing for the fires through my Facebook channel, but everything I want to do, I want to automatically go to YouTube as well, because that's where the tech stuff is. So it's kind of, it's not all that necessary, but it is nice. As well as that, with my Aussie Vinyl show, if I play records and put music on, if I do that onto Kev Mate, if I only stream onto Facebook and it saves the stream for people to see later, and if I'm doing an Aussie vinyl show, it'll just mute every bit of music that it detects and stuff like that. Whereas if I do it to YouTube at the same time, it will keep it, and I will get some kind of copyright notice saying, hey, EMI own that, or this record company owns this or that, and they keep it there, and it just means you can't monetize. Some of them will say you can't monetize this, which I can't anyway, and I don't want to. But some of them say, all right, keep the music on there, but any monetization we get, which is kind of pretty smooth, I guess. All right. So I've got to recap again because Kevin's joined. How's the moped going, mate? I hope it's going nicely. I hope you're breaking it in very carefully. No mucking around. All right. So what I was showing off today was my ability to stream. Well, not showing it off, but just trying it and testing it. And Scott has been helping out by giving me feedback on the lag and delay, and I think OBS is coping a bit better now. But I've got a new toy, and it's this over here. I will give you a close-up demo. It's called a PreSonus headphone amplifier. All right, so that is allowed me to take one cord out of my mixer, because I am changing mixers. I'm doing reviews on different mixing boards and stuff like that, so I can leave my headphone system, which gets kind of complicated because all the headphone cables go down through and pop out in the middle of the table, and they're all numbered and everything. They can stay like that. I have to unplug lots of splitters and carry on from the actual board itself. How's that? How are we doing? Do you want to see my little... Watch this. Did you like that? That's my little kind of intro, which is probably the wrong time to do it. Good news, Kev. I'm glad it's going well. The next thing I'll show you is... This is going to be kind of look a bit kooky, but this, when I press, you would have noticed me looking down and mucking around. But see that? This little guy is called a Stream Deck, and you can pre-program these buttons to do pretty much anything on your computer. I use it to change the scenes in OBS, so that's what I'm pressing when I'm going to there, and all that kind of stuff. But this might be a bit blue and weird, so watch this. Yes, I knew it. All right, so every time I open up that particular camera, I've got to press one little button to bring the color back. So that is just the Brio. So I've got all these different combinations set up here. There's the Hi. 2 seconds, mate. Far out. Is that between my voice, the picture, and my voice? That's intolerable. That must be agony. Shouldn't be doing that, because I can see that the computer is keeping up with that camera. I'll change to that camera until we can confirm. But if I go like that, are you telling me you heard the click 2 seconds before you see my click? Or the other way around? Ah, that's a good one. That was that's because I went off. I'm going to go back to it, so I won't say anything for a sec. you should be getting, that's the handheld camera. You should be getting audio there. Tell me if you're getting audio now, Scott. When we're looking up at the umbrellas, which I quite like that look. I can see there we are. And yes, you've got audio there. Oh, that's weird. Probably find that I was hand clicking in OBS at some of the other scenes that I haven't set up to use yet with the L8. Because what you've got to do is select the audio source for this. Is this the one with the 2 seconds, Kev? Or you've got to select the audio source for each scene. So when if you get a new mixer or set up a whole new scene, then you've got to go to each particular scene, like each camera, and then paste that as an input, the Zoom L8 as an input on each one. And at the moment I've got Rhodes there, but it's turned off because that was how I got it before. And then you also got I've still got the option of using my white cable, which I can't get high enough, but I've still got the option of taking this, which is permanently in here now, thanks to my headphone amp, and this can go through to the computer. So I can use that as a source for OBS if I have to. In fact, that's how I used to do it before I realised that I could just USB it straight into the thing. So that's great. I haven't even been looking at YouTube. I don't think anyone's saying anything. Let me have a quick look. Kenny. Sorry, Kenny. There is a lag. No. Sorry, mate. I've been looking at the Facebook chat. My next task is to try and get this caster to sort of homogenize, I guess, or group all the chat into one place. I know you can do it. I did it with the Lula the other day. Lula doesn't have Facebook, so it's no good for me. And this caster doesn't have Instagram. It's like, come on. Please, somebody. If they could have both, I'd be in seventh heaven. So, what are you going to get, Kenny? What are you getting? Kenny's getting something next week, but I'm not sure what it is. All right, now, it's almost a full-time job now looking at all the different chats, but that's good. This, I think, is where the lag is, because I can physically see it. And this is how it got just before OBS crashed last time. So what I might do is go back to this camera and do some demonstrations. Right, so this is a PTZ camera. This is the Logitech one that's faulty. It kind of jumps around and carries on. And if you turn off autofocus, which I like to do, because autofocus, even in a perfect world, can take a long, like now, you can see that I'm blurry. So that's no good at all, because this is the ideal scenario where it should be completely clear. Right, so that's no good. So that's why this is faulty and going back to the shop. There you go. It's finally just done it. It's got itself some autofocus. So between this one, two PTZ cameras, I think this could get a bit kooky. But what I'm going to do now is let's see if this is. I'm going to put OBS in what's known as studio mode, and that allows me to change. It allows me to change a sort of a waiting room, another one of the scenes, in another screen, and it's definitely it's laggy, but let's not worry about that for now, because what I'm doing is, while you're looking at me, I'm moving the other camera around with a remote control. See this? So that camera, so when I opt to transition, boom, you will see, you'll now be seeing the Logitech PTZ Pro 2 camera. And then I use my little Stream Deck and I change to that. Then I change back, change to that camera, right? And so I'm seeing me on one screen. Are you following this? I'm seeing me on one screen, which is the view from the PTZ Pro 2 camera, which is this remote, right? So I can change that view, and I'm going to turn it around so you can see it turning around, and zoom in on the Bird Dog P200 camera, right? So the PTZ's reached the end of its... So I'm going to spin it. I'm just going to spin it a little bit. Call me old-fashioned. So get ready for this guy. So then I can transition, and then you'll see the Bird Dog. So this is being taken by the Logitech. So then while you're looking at the Bird Dog, is this getting confusing at all? While you're looking at the Bird Dog, I can bring the Bird Dog to another view, let's say preset number 6. See how it whizzes around, and that should bring us to the full studio, and there you have it. So this is why I love the PTZ cameras. It's pretty awesome. So when I've got the new upcoming Bird Dog keyboard controller, it'll have a joystick and a zoom and focus and all that button, and also be able to control multiple cameras just by you select the camera, change scenes, pretty much like a little mini version of a TV studio, all from the olden days in the movies. So we technically would go back to the view from the Logitech, transition that, and then I would just, on the remote, I just press preset number 1 and transition it back, and there we are back to here with my lag, which I'll get to. It's obviously being asked far too much today, this poor old computer, and maybe I'll have to get a new computer. If anyone is still there, let me know. I don't quite know. Facebook doesn't tell you who's on. It tells you who joins, but doesn't tell you who nicks off, which is interesting. So I'm going to put... So I've just put the PTZ camera back to the home number 1 position, and it came around nicely and got the full screen. All right. You can probably tell why I'm, it's not that cool, but why I'm using this headset style thing with all this tech kind of stuff. I'm just going to be, with a microphone in front of me, I'm just going to be banging and crashing. And especially when I'm playing records for my vinyl show, it's nearly impossible to work around a microphone stand. So no choice, headset. And you always, plus you're not just banging into it, you're also going off mic and kind of fading in and out. It's like going to a concert on a windy day at a winery. You get the sound in and out and in and out. Oh, I reckon I better go. I reckon I've achieved what I need to achieve. I've got work to do on my colour balance. Have a look. That's the colour. This is the colour I chose If I cover my mouth, I'll have no lag. Look. So this is the colour. This is the warm colour that I've decided to go with. But the Logitech domestic cameras, the settings change every time you start the bloody computer. So I had it matched pretty well for a while there. But there you have it. Let's have a look. Why not? Let's open that up. Okay, so that's the PTZ Pro, and I'm in the settings now, so it's on auto white balance, so I take that off. What does sometimes happen, and I have to admit, so now I get that more of that orange look. One problem is that all the Logitech stuff all operates from the same little controller. So if you can open it up, you open it up on the Brio, which is what this one here that looks down on the record player, or the 922. If you go to set one of those and you forget and you've left it set to the PTZ, you've stuffed it up, and there's no, as far as I can tell, there's no saved settings. You can't go save settings as and stuff like that. It's a bit disappointing. I'm pretty sure there'll be some kind of aftermarket or app or something like that allows you to. It's too yellowy. It's too bluey. So I'm just trying to get that right. I don't think there's much I can do, because when it's zoomed out like that, it's gathering light from all over the room, whereas this the bird dog camera zoomed right in, so it's kind of warm. Like, we'll do this. If I zoom out, I better change the transition, take it off studio mode. So if I do this, you'll see me I think I should get brighter and brighter and less sort of orange. See that? And the magical thing about this camera is that I'm going back to this one because I cover my mouth to stop the lag from upsetting anyone. The magical thing about it is each preset, like if you preset to position number 1, you can, and it's kind of dark and gloomy, you can sort of brighten it up. And then your second preset might be open on the room with white walls and everything, and you can tone it all down. It remembers the focus, it remembers all the settings. So you can actually see it when you go from 1 to 2, it goes, it spins around, does its pans, does its zooming, does its panning and tilting and focusing, and then the colour changes to what it's meant to be. So it does all that little process in less than a second. So it's very, very cool indeed. I better go. I've got to go for drinks. It's the daily talk shows, Friday night drinks, which is going to be ace. All right, I'm going to try and work out how to end these streams. I think Facebook is linked to Caster, but I don't think YouTube is. So let's see what happens. All right. Adios. Look, thanks for sticking around and giving me the feedback, guys. Have fun. Stay safe.